Before anything else, ask yourself a question with complete honesty. Why do you panic the moment a real money trade moves against you? Not a demo trade, not a backtest, but real capital on the line. The moment the account is funded, the moment the order is live, the moment every tick suddenly feels personal, why does your calm disappear? If that question stings, if you feel it in your chest, then listen closely. What you're about to hear isn't meant to motivate you. It's meant to expose the emotional truth that has been destroying your trades before your strategy ever had a chance to prove itself. A trader doesn't truly meet himself until real money is involved. I learned that early in my career, standing right inside the heat of the market. As soon as the trade went live, the version of me I believed in, the confident analyst, the disciplined thinker, the patient observer, vanished. I was replaced by someone else entirely, someone hurried, tense, emotional, desperate to control what could never be controlled. Where most traders fail. Not in the system, not in the strategy, but in the version of themselves that shows up when the stakes become real. Before the trade, everything feels clean, the setup is clear, the logic is sound, your patience feels strong. But the moment you enter, your entire psychological balance shifts. A tiny candle suddenly feels dangerous. A normal retracement feels threatening. Every tick against your position feels like an attack on your intelligence, your skill, your identity. Suddenly you're not trading the chart. You're trading your emotions. The market isn't creating your anxiety. You are. Your lack of emotional preparation is. Entering a trade without that foundation guarantees panic, because calm cannot be turned on once money is live. Calm has to be built long before you ever press the buy or sell button. If you enter hoping to remain calm, you've already lost. Calm comes from clarity. Clarity comes from preparation. Preparation comes from knowing exactly what you're doing and exactly what you're willing to accept. Most traders misunderstand calmness. They think it's confidence or experience or emotional toughness. It isn't. Calmness is acceptance. Acceptance of risk, acceptance of losses, acceptance of randomness, acceptance of uncertainty. The traders who shake in their positions haven't accepted any of those things. They want safety. They want correctness. They want validation. They need the market to behave. I never needed any of that. I didn't need to be right. I didn't need approval. I only needed command over myself. That's why I could remain calm whether I was risking $1,000 or $1 million. You felt it too. The tension in your shoulders, the shallow breathing, the pounding heart, the obsession with every tick. You start micromanaging. You start hoping. You start fearing. You stop trusting your plan and start reacting to every fluctuation. That reaction doesn't come from financial danger. It comes from emotional discomfort. The fear of emotional pain is stronger than the fear of loss, and that fear disrupts everything you attempt to do logically. Trade without emotional stability, and the market will break you, not because it is wild, but because you are unprepared. You will close too early, hold too long, chase entries, revenge trade, break every rule you swore you would follow. You'll turn into someone you don't recognize. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Humans fear uncertainty. Humans crave control. Humans seek safety. Trading denies all three simultaneously. I overcame this by changing how I saw the entire process. Calmness isn't something you feel. It's something you train. It isn't born from comfort. It's built through discipline. It isn't a mood. It's a skill. Panic comes from not knowing what you will do if things go wrong. You fear the dip because you don't know when to accept invalidation. You fear volatility because you don't know where your boundary is. You fear missing out because you don't know if you have the patience to wait. Every fear originates from uncertainty. A trader who doesn't know what he will do before he enters is already defeated. Most traders lose calm because they make decisions inside the pressure instead of before it. Calmness is simply the absence of internal conflict. When your plan is defined, your risk accepted, your expectations grounded, and your mind aligned with uncertainty, there is no fight within you. Without that internal fight, emotion has nothing to cling to. I wasn't calm because I lacked fear. I was calm because I had removed the internal friction that fear relies on. That's the transformation you're beginning right now. Until you build that foundation, every candle will feel dangerous. Every fluctuation will feel personal, every position will feel heavy. But once your mind is structured properly, everything changes. Anxiety fades, panic weakens, noise loses power, real money stops feeling like danger and starts feeling like process. Calm trading begins long before the trade. Strategy alone isn't enough. Real money exposes emotional weaknesses instantly. One move against you can destroy all the confidence you built in backtests. That's when you discover the strategy doesn't fail. The mind does. Calmness is cultivated by preparing your mental responses in advance. You need to know exactly how you will behave when the market tests you. 10 pips against you, 20, 50. What then? Do you adjust? Do you wait? Do you exit? None of this can be decided after the trade is live. It must be rehearsed beforehand the same way a musician practices scales. My greatest tool became self-observation. I would constantly ask myself, is this fear? Is this greed? Is this impatience? Am I acting or reacting? This self-awareness is uncomfortable but transformative. Each time I paused before reacting, each time I acted according to plan instead of emotion, my calmness grew stronger. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is information. The mistake is letting fear dictate your actions. By defining my boundaries before entering, I could feel fear without obeying it. Greed is just as destructive. A winning trade tempts you to overextend, to hold forever, to add recklessly. Calmness is the discipline to follow the plan even when everything looks perfect. Profits are temporary guests, not guaranteed companions. Detachment from the highs protects you from the most brutal mistakes. Patience is not passive waiting, it's active endurance. It is the ability to sit inside the discomfort without seeking relief through impulsive action. That is where true calm is forged. Noise is another enemy. Most traders treat every candle as a signal. Calmness comes from knowing what matters and what doesn't. When your mind is quiet, noise passes without influencing you. Detachment completes the mastery. You must stop trading for validation. Stop trading for ego. Stop trading for emotional relief. Trade for execution only. The outcome is not proof of your worth. With that detachment, fear loses power and calmness becomes unshakable. Then comes incremental focus. One candle at a time, one decision at a time, not the entire trend, not the entire day, not the entire account. Overwhelm kills calmness. Simplicity strengthens it, and then comes repetition. Calmness is built through thousands of correct executions. Every time you honor a stop loss, every time you follow your plan, every time you pause before acting, you reinforce the muscle. Over time, panic fades, not because the market stops testing you, but because you stop reacting blindly. Calmness is lifelong work. The market will always test you, but each test strengthens you. The more you expose yourself deliberately, the more disciplined you become, the more detached you become, the more unshakable your calmness becomes, until one day you realize the market no longer rattles you. You're not fighting anymore. You're not panicking. You're observing, deciding, executing. That is the state I reached. That is the state I want you to reach. Calmness isn't luck. It isn't talent. It isn't a momentary victory. It is a skill built over time through intention and discipline, and every trade from this moment forward is an opportunity to strengthen it. Impulsive entries are reminders that calmness has slipped away. That's why incremental focus matters so much. Break the trade into manageable pieces, one candle at a time, one movement at a time, one decision at a time. The moment you try to process the entire market, the entire trend, and your entire account at once, you overwhelm yourself. When you narrow your focus, you remove emotional noise. You isolate what matters and give your mind a space to act with intention instead of reacting out of fear. Repetition is what builds calmness. I didn't wake up one day suddenly composed. It came from thousands of trades, each one a practice session in navigating fear, greed, impatience, and doubt. Every time I followed my plan, my composure strengthened. Every stop-loss I honored, every profit I took according to rules, every moment I stayed disciplined. All of it built the muscle of calmness. That is the only way to survive long enough to become consistently profitable. One of the hardest truths I learned is that emotional endurance is more valuable than technical skill. A flawless strategy means nothing if your mind collapses under pressure. I've watched average traders with simple systems outperform brilliant traders because the average ones stayed calm and disciplined, while the brilliant ones let fear and greed dictate their actions. Calmness is the ultimate advantage in a market that has no sympathy for anyone's emotions. Real money magnifies everything. It amplifies fear, hope, impatience, excitement, and doubt. That's why small practice trades and backtests aren't enough. They can't recreate the psychological weight of real capital. You must feel the pressure. You must feel the panic. You must learn to act correctly in the middle of that storm. Only then does calmness turn into something stable and reliable. When you reach that level, everything changes. Minor fluctuations don't scare you. You don't chase entries. You don't micromanage every tick. You watch the market with clarity and respond based on your rules. Your decisions become deliberate. Your risk becomes controlled, and you begin to see the market for what it truly is instead of what your fear tries to convince you it is. Calmness isn't a gift. It is earned. It's built through preparation, repetition, detachment, incremental focus, patience, and brutally honest self-awareness. It is tested every day. But the more you practice, the more solid it becomes. Eventually, the pressure of real money stops feeling like danger. It becomes part of your environment, part of the discipline, part of who you are as a trader. The market will always test you. Your emotions will always rise. But if you train yourself to observe without reacting, to execute your plan despite fear and greed, to sit through discomfort with patience, and to detach from outcomes, your calmness becomes durable. It becomes your silent advantage, your constant ally, your secret weapon. That is how chaos turns into opportunity, and pressure turns into mastery. There's another layer. Many traders never understand the balance between confidence and humility. Overconfidence may look like strength, but it's actually emotional weakness in disguise. It sets you up for panic the moment the market moves against you. Calmness requires confidence in your preparation and humility about the uncertainty of the market. I remember a trade early in my career. I had identified what I believed was a perfect breakout setup. My plan was flawless. My entry and stop were precise. I felt untouchable. The trade began perfectly, moving in my favor. Then a sudden retracement hit. In that moment, I realized that overconfidence can be more dangerous than fear. I felt the urge to prove I was right, to hold longer than I should, to add unnecessary risk. That's when humility saved me. The market doesn't care about confidence. It respects only discipline. Humility allows you to accept uncertainty without emotional conflict, and that acceptance preserves calmness. Risk management is another pillar. You can have the strongest mindset in the world, but if your risk is too big, calmness cannot survive. I always defined my risk precisely before entering a trade, not loosely, not emotionally, but with exact numbers I was fully willing to lose. This wasn't just about protecting capital. It was about protecting emotional stability. When your risk is contained, panic has nowhere to latch onto. You know you can survive the loss, and survival is the foundation of long-term success. Consistency is equally important. Calmness cannot appear only when conditions look easy. It must be present in every action, every session, every trade. I followed the same routine every day. Analyze, plan, rehearse, enter according to rules, observe without interference, exit according to plan. This repetition created automatic discipline. When calmness becomes a habit, the market stops shaking you. It becomes something you can manage instead of something you must fear. Mistakes are guaranteed in trading. No one escapes them. I made errors, misjudged setups, entered too early, exited too soon. But calmness allowed me to treat mistakes as lessons instead of disasters. When you respond to a loss with panic, you multiply the damage. When you respond with calmness, you grow stronger. This mindset removes the emotional weight from losses and replaces it with clarity. Selective engagement is another form of calmness. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. The market offers thousands of potential trades, most of which will pull you away from your rules. The calm trader waits. He chooses setups that align with his criteria and ignores everything else. Impulsive traders chase noise and lose their discipline. Calm traders preserve their energy and their capital. Micromanaging trades is one of the fastest ways to destroy calmness. Humans crave control, but in trading, The only thing you can truly control is yourself. I defined my entries, stops, and targets clearly, then stepped back. I let the trade unfold within the boundaries I established. Constant interference amplifies tension. It makes every tick feel like an emergency. Stepping back creates emotional space. It allows calmness to guide the process. Discipline is the backbone of all of this. It is tested every second you are in the market. A single moment of emotional weakness can undo weeks of discipline. I've seen brilliant traders fail because they couldn't stay disciplined during one high-pressure moment. Discipline transforms preparation and patience into consistent calmness. Without it, everything else collapses. Mental rehearsal strengthened me even further. Before each session, I prepared my mind for volatility, for losses, for sudden reversals. I imagined good scenarios and bad ones. I practiced staying detached. I visualized myself responding calmly. This mental conditioning made the real moments less overwhelming. I had already faced them in my mind. When they arrived, I acted deliberately instead of emotionally. Your environment matters too. Noise, distractions, and outside opinions can destabilize your mind. Calm traders protect their environment. They reduce noise, minimize interruptions, and create a space where focus is possible. The market already provides enough chaos. You must not add more. Calmness is not a destination. It is a lifelong discipline. Every trade strengthens it or weakens it. Every decision builds it or cracks it. Over time, with repetition and awareness, calmness becomes part of you. Real money stops triggering panic and starts triggering discipline. The truth is simple. The market is unpredictable. Volatility is inevitable. Losses will happen. Fear will appear. But the one variable you always control is yourself, your reactions, your discipline, your patience, your detachment. Master those, and calmness becomes your greatest weapon. Fail to master them, and no strategy will save you. The traders who learn this survive. The traders who ignore it disappear. Calmness is the shield, the tool, and the path. Guard it, build it, live by it. Let it guide every trade from this moment forward.